Oh, and there it is. We are all set for another Early Edge Live. What's good, everybody? Welcome into the Early Edge, your daily and weekly sports betting brand of record. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all of sports betting, and it's not even close. Every single week at noon Eastern time, we break down every single game on the board, and today we're talking 7 early games. We got 4 at 4 o'clock, and then tonight, one of the great Sunday night games we're going to have all season, the Broncos going into enemy territory and taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who have now found themselves back at the top of the AFC West. But on Sundays, I got to bring in my heavy hitters. I got to bring in my rock stars. And here they are. You know them. You love them. First and foremost, right below me from the penthouse, live from Nashville, Tennessee, M Squared. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Coach. Alex, AB, dial up. Good to see you guys. Love this show so much. Finishing up some DFS right now, but a lot of fun matchups this week. Just a lot of fun. I think there are so many good games that I'm going to be absolutely glued to the TV and the couch for about 4 hours here.
Fantastic. If you're pumped up, damn it, you know I'm pumped up. So right next to me, from 8 floors below, Mikey, also live from Nashville, Tennessee. Dial up. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, M Squared, Prop Stars. Look, I just have one question. Prop, what's it been like in the club for 48 hours, man? You feeling good?
I'm feeling great, AB.
Man, I can't tell you, my heart, I still wake up and my heart is full. The fact that Alex is now in the club. Now, it hurts just a little bit that now I'm outside of the club hanging out with Jeweler and AB, and that's it. And that's it. But what can we do? What can we do? All right, we got to get into it because we got a lot of stuff to get into today. If you're brand new to the show, first of all, welcome to the Early Edge family. Welcome to SportsLine. We go through every single game after we give out our best bets that we've given out all week long and some fresh plays here on the show. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into our best bets for the day. So, normally I don't do it on this show, but today I feel like it's special. I feel like we need to do it to really raise our level. So, M Squared, if you don't mind, you know the drill, son. Give it to me.
All right, Coach. I got a lot of plays this week, actually. I got
Let's
6
go.
of them, starting with 2 totals. Gave both of these out on Tuesday. It's the over 50.5 for Cincy in LA. This one's come down to about 50 most places in the market. However, I still like it. There's minor concern over the weather, but it's not enough to change anything really for me. So I do like the over here. My simulations made this one up over 52. Ravens, Steelers, like the over in this one as well. At 43.5 is where I got it. It's 44 in most places. Getting to 44 or getting under 44 was a pretty key number in this one. Still have same loss condition, so I don't hate it at 44. I would shy away if it got to 44.5 or higher than that. So it's just an absolutely key number. Key numbers in the NFL here on totals, 41 and 44, especially in this division, absolutely key. So it was critical to get below that. And then in some teasers that I have going from Tuesday, the Philadelphia Eagles, -0.5, Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, there's a little bit of line movement on some of these since then. The big line movement situation, however, is going to be on the Colts, where I have them teased multiple ways here. I teased them when they were -8, which brought it to -2. Now it's at 10. You're not getting it through a field goal. I would shy away just a little bit there. I do think that they win by more than 4 points, but you are losing a significant amount of value by not being through that key number of 3. But I do have the Colts teased with the same Vikings -1. Colts also with the Eagles -0.5. And then a continuation from Thursday Night Football. When we hit the donkey, a little backdoor cover on the donkey also gave us the backdoor cover to keep this teaser alive. I have the New Orleans Saints +11.5. I have it +10.5 also personally. Got both of those wins. We have that one teased with the Philadelphia Eagles as well.
Now, we tell you all the time at home that sometimes the best games you bet on are the ones you don't bet on, but also you can tell how confident my guys are by the amount of best bets they give out because we don't force anything. Sometimes Mike will give out 1. You got 6 today. Just say thank you and have a nice day. Now, up next, he also has several plays on the board, and I like them all. I hate to say it, but AB, you're up. What do you got?
Yeah, Coach, we're going to start with the Colts -10 today against the Houston Texans. Look, the only way through for the Indianapolis Colts is winning the AFC South, and what better way to do it than hammer down an AFC South opponent in the Texans, not to mention we get the Colts off of a game where they gave up what was a win, turned into a loss. So we're going to get the Colts with their foot on the gas pedal today. The Texans have the worst rushing defense in the NFL. You're going to see a theme in that, by the way. So Jonathan Taylor probably going to go off against Houston. They'll dictate the tempo of the game and completely own it. Next game, we're going to go Bengals -3. Same deal. Joe Mixon, he scored a touchdown in 9 straight games. He's got multiple rushing touchdowns in 3 straight games. The Chargers have one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL, and it is going to be a dream scenario for Bengals offensive play calling because they're going to start with Mixon, and once the Chargers bring in to stop him, Joe Burrow is going to attack that secondary back and forth, back and forth. The Bengals should own the dictation of how this game is played. Not to mention the Bengals defense is a little bit better than people give them credit for. We're also going to go with the Raiders -1. Look, it's tough to fade Washington right now. They're playing very complimentary football. They are very balanced on both sides. Ron Rivera is doing a great job coaching that team. But I want to see what this team has to do on the road where they might not have the ability to just dictate 19-play, 11-minute drives over and over and over. Let's see what happens when points get scored, and can they keep up in this one. We're also going to go Rams -13. Yes, they've lost 3 straight games. They haven't looked like themselves all year, but that's exactly why I like this play today. The Jaguars enter banged up, and quite frankly, this team needs a morale boost, and there's nothing better for morale than just beating the hell out of somebody. And I think once the Rams start getting pressure on Trevor Lawrence, those floodgates open. They aren't going to stop on either side of the ball. McVay is not going to take his foot off the gas pedal today because, quite frankly, both sides just need a shot in the arm. In the Colts game, last play, Tyrod Taylor over half an interception. Colts lead the NFL in turnovers and scoring off of turnovers. We should get 30-plus attempts out of Tyrod Taylor today. Colts are going to take advantage of that.
I like it when you guys have more plays because it kind of takes things off of my plate, and I don't have to do so much because a lot of times I feel like I carry the show. Well, not when M Square is here, but most of the time. Now, you mentioned a very key word there, morale. Now, the Maestro called me not that long ago. He's on the road. We're not going to see him for a little bit. There's a very big reason why that we will talk about tomorrow. But when you talk about morale, he gave an official pick on the show. He said, Coach, can you give this out for me? So in true early ed fashion, he says, give me the Chargers +3. I knew AB was on the Bengals. I knew I was on the Bengals. So instead of saying congratulations to the Maestro, what do you think I said? AB, M Squared, Alex? What did I
Showdown
say?
time. Yeah.
You're damn right. I said what? Hit the music, jeweler. Let's go. It's gonna be a showdown. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. So there is a showdown. Me and the Maestro. Whoo, that felt good too. AB, I have a feeling that if you reached out to him, maybe he would take one from you, but I don't want to speak for him.
You know what? We will reach out, but I'll tell you what. I'll let you and the Maestro have this one. It's between you two. Yeah, I'll watch.
Okay, very good. I'll take it. But Maestro, we're thinking about you. We're praying for you, and tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have a big announcement here on the show. Can't wait for that. Now, Alex, I know you're chomping at the bit. I know you're ready to go. I know you have a fresh pick for everybody at home. So, sir, the floor is yours.
I do indeed, Coach. Yeah, I've got a 5-pack of props on the show today. Some of these numbers are also still available, which is always a good thing. First up is Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. Alpha number 1 wide receiver, massive target share. We're talking double-digit targets every single week, playing a Bengals defense where I believe the Chargers are going to have to score to keep up with them. The Bengals are also really susceptible over the middle of the field, which is where Keenan does a lot of his damage. I really like this prop. Next up, Taylor Heineke over 240.5 passing yards. This game just projects to be very high scoring versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Heineke has looked really good, especially of lately. Favorable conditions inside of a dome. Really like this spot for Heineke, who's really been coming on lately. Next is Marquise Hollywood Brown over 4.5 receptions. You can actually get this in an even better price than we have listed on the graphic. -115. I saw it before he came on the show. Similar to Keenan Allen in the sense that he is an absolute target hog. He's getting double-digit double-digit targets for the last 5 weeks. It's a lot of production in Baltimore from Marquise Brown. Really like this one as well. The next one is Pat Freiermuth, Old Faithful, over 3.5 receptions. We love him on the show. He's a favorite of ours. He's a favorite of Big Ben's. Also a good matchup versus Baltimore, who have been generous to opposing tight ends. And the fifth and final play, which I have not given out anywhere yet, is Myles Gaskin, over 15.5 rushing attempts. So no Phillip Lindsay today for the Dolphins. That leaves Myles Gaskin pretty much handling all of the work in Miami's backfield versus a Giants team who are 6-point underdogs, starting Mike Glennon and ranked 30th in rushing DVOA. So this is a very favorable spot for Gaskin. The running back depth there is not going to challenge him. He has been just dominating backfield snaps as it is with a healthy Phillip Lindsay. So Myles Gaskin over 15.5 rushing attempts.
Alex, what would you have done if I would have told you 12 weeks ago that on week 13, Glennon, Minshew, Dalton, all of those names would be starting in the National Football League? As a props expert, I would think that your head would be popping off your shoulders right about now.
It would be indeed, Coach. But what do? We educate, we entertain, we read and react. We're ready. We're ready.
All right, let's get into it. By the way, the Maestro has two other plays: Patriots +3 and the Rams -12.5. And because you guys love him so much, Jeweler, show your face. Let's give away the teaser right now on the show and your reasons why, sir.
All right. For the teaser today, I am taking the Chargers plus the 9. Both Larry and Hammer and Hank Goldberg on the site are on LA. I know, Coach, you are not on that side of things. The public and Sharps are both heavily in line with the Bengals today. So hopefully this one doesn't come back to bite us, but the teaser, we get that 6 points of wiggle room. I'm also going to go with Washington plus the 7.5. The Raiders are favored here. They have not covered in 7 straight. So again, give me Washington here. Larry brought it up, and I think Allen as well. Ron Rivera and his team's coached after the bye week. Killer. So the final leg here, we're going to take the Chiefs. -3 is what I played it at this morning, and that's actually coming in money against me, I guess, because they're now down to -2.5.
Wow.
So you can get an even better number there if you want to play that. I think the Broncos are kind of a trendy underdog here. So that's where I'm assuming a lot of the money's coming in here. But Andy Reid in his career, 19-3 following the bye straight up. And that's 14-7-1 against the spread.
Yeah, it's funny because they had to feel like they won the lottery when their schedule came out and they were off Thanksgiving week. Are you kidding me? But I do need to ask you a question, Julie. You said the Raiders had not covered in 7 straight, correct?
As a favorite.
As a favorite. That's what – okay.
As a favorite.
You didn't say as a favorite. Okay.
Favorite.
Yes.
As a favorite, not 7 straight.
All right. Very good. All right. Thank you, Jeweler. Appreciate that very, very much. All right. Now, for those of you brand new to the brand, the show is not over. We're just getting started. We go all the way up to very, very close to 1 o'clock. We now go into every single game and kind of give you our breakdown of it. So, M Squared, I'm going to come to you. Our first game on the board. We're going right to the defending champs. That's right. They're laying 10.5. The Bucs in Atlanta to face the Falcons, 1 Eastern. Again, 7 early games today. The total sitting at 50.5. Here's where we stand. Uncle Dave is on Rob Gronkowski over 53.5. Receiving yards at -115. And then RJ is on the Bucs team total, which is what I've played, over 30.5 at -120. In most places, it's gone up to 31. M Squared, start us off.
Yeah, so I agree with RJ there. Is the only way I can get to this game is on the Tampa Bay team total side. I don't like the number in terms of the spread or the total here, really. I have it at 49.9 in the simulations, not enough to even really be a lean on the under because of the significance of each number. And then -10.3 is my number here. So it's dead on the market. The only thing I can get to is the Bucs. It's just massive number here that's wide open in a backdoor cover situation. Frankly, even with this team being up 17, if they're up 17 late in this game, they can still get covered on. Matt Ryan played this team earlier this year. He threw the most passing attempts he's thrown all year, We know Tampa Bay is a pass funnel. They're not going to have success running against them. They're not even going to try to run against them for the most part. So when you give someone like Matt Ryan, and he's got a couple of weapons, you give him those opportunities to finally get into a rhythm at some point during the game. You get the Bucs with a bigger double-digit lead. Things become a little bit easier there. So I lean towards the over, despite my simulations only having 49.9 on this 50.5. And then on the Bucs side, the only way I could get to this game is Bucs team total over.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. Alex, let me come to you. From a props perspective, certainly the Falcons have been a disaster all year. The only thing you can do is unders. But from a Bucs perspective, how are you looking at some of these dynamic receivers now that AB is not going to be in the lineup for the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm expecting good games out of all Tampa Bay skill position players. We've seen Gronk just be phenomenal since he's returned from injury. He looks better and better every week. He looks like vintage Gronk. It's really been impressive to see. So, I'm expecting another big game out of him. Fournette coming off of that a 5-touchdown game last week. Obviously looking very, very comfortable in that offense. He has a high total today, but I also see backing him. His reception numbers are extremely impressive. When you think Leonard Fournette, you do not associate him with a receiving type running back, but he's been one of the most productive receiving running backs in the NFL this season. And then you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, 2 elite number 1 wide receivers. Mike Evans tends to shred the Falcons. I think he's scored a touchdown, I want to say, in 5 of the 6 last times these two teams have met. So, I'm anticipating the Bucs just putting it on a Falcons team that gives up a lot of production. And then historically, Tom Brady, since he's been a Buc, is just absolutely shredded. So,
how about 9-0 straight up, 8-1 AB in his career against Atlanta? Come on now.
Yeah, he's owned him. And I'll tell you what, watch this game. Where you're going to be paying attention to is 3rd down when the Tampa Bay Bucs have the ball. You're looking at the Atlanta Falcons, who are the 3rd worst team in the NFL defensively at getting off the field on 3rd downs. Also, Atlanta gives up 27.5 points per game, 2nd most of the NFL. Well, Tampa scores 31.2 points per game, the most in the NFL. So pay attention to that as well.
Boom. That is your first Chick-fil-A nugget of the day. Now, Alex, what do you got?
I was just going to say, I'm very interested to see Cordero Patterson today. His rushing total is very low. As we know, it is Cordero Patterson's season. We love him. He's been phenomenal. He's been the MVP for this Falcons team. His rushing line is at 33.5 yards. We obviously have a Bucs defense that is exceptional versus the run, but that is a very low number. We also see Patterson coming off a career rushing day last week where he totaled over 100 yards on the ground. So, I'm very interested to see that matchup.
All right, very, very good. A lot to get to there when it comes to defending champs. Also, we're into December now. Let's remember the playoffs are right around the corner with the added extra game this year. Okay, AB, I'm coming back to you. Our next game on the board. Cardinals laying a very interesting, fascinating number here. -7.5 in Chicago. Supposed to be, from the weather report M Squared gave us earlier today, some rain, some bad weather. Don't know really how bad it's going to be. Total sitting on 42. We have no plays in this game officially as far as props are concerned. But what do you make of this number and or this total?
Yeah, so this game, like M Squared said, the weather is going to be horrible. It's horrible right now, like leading into it. It's just not going to be a beautiful game on either side of the ball. Yes, the Cardinals side, we have Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins both back in the game today. That said, even in normal weather conditions, I don't think that they would press either of them too terribly much because they don't want to risk re-aggravating either of those injuries. When you have a downpour and wind, it's going to be even less so. So I would be careful with any props on the Cardinals side in this game. I'd be careful with the spread here. There's nothing that I like, so I'm not going to put anything out there, but be careful on Arizona's side because they could pull DeAndre out of this game very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's about getting in and getting out with the win. Really, the only play here would be Arizona in a teaser, take it down to 1.5. Basically, all they have to do is win the game. But other than that, as a show, we're all just kind of staying away. All right, let me come to you, Alex. This next game we're heavily invested in as a show, but also it could be one of the games of the week and heavy playoff implications in Cincinnati today. Here's where we stand as a show on the Chargers and the Bengals. The number is -3. The total is sitting at 50. Larry and AB, you guys are opposite. Chargers for Larry. AB is the Bengals. I'm backing AB with the Bengals. Then Uncle Dave is on Joe Mixon. Over 106.5 combined yards today. Then Dave also likes Keenan Allen over 80.5 receiving yards. Then Mikey is on the Chargers and Bengals over 50.5. And then prop stars, you have Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. Alex, why are you so bullish on the Chargers and Keenan Allen specifically doing well today in Cincinnati?
Yeah, Keenan Allen has established himself. I mean, he has been the Chargers' number one wide receiver since his rookie season, but we're talking massive target shares here, 28%, 32% air yard share. 11.4 ADOT. He's running more routes than almost any wide receiver in the NFL. He has double-digit targets in 8 of the last 11 games, including 5 straight games. He is quietly, or maybe not quietly to you, having one of the most productive seasons of any wide receiver in the NFL. He's caught at least 7 passes in 4 straight games, including 7 of 11 overall. The Bengals on the other side are a pretty generous matchup. They rank 19th in passing DVOA. They've also been susceptible to short and intermediate routes, which is where Keenan does a lot of his damage. He is one of the league's just elite route runners. He should find plenty of soft spots in the middle of the Bengals defense where they give up a lot of production. I anticipate this game being high scoring. It has one of the highest projected totals. I think the highest at 50.5 should feature plenty of offense. This generally correlates well with Keenan Allen props. So yeah, I really like him over 6.5 receptions. Also correlates with Uncle Dave being over 80.5 yards as well.
It's always nice when you guys, who are the stars of the Friday Props Show right here on this YouTube channel, subscribe. It's free. Turn on the notifications. When you guys come together with the same player on 2 different plays. Now, Mikey, on the over, I was watching a show today, and they were talking about how the coaching staff for San Diego, or LA, has been talking about trying to allow Justin Herbert to throw the ball down the field more because he and Tom Brady lead the league in like the passes from 3 to 5 yards. And that's not a stat that necessarily you want to lead the league in. But for Brady, it works. For Herbert, they think he needs to air it out a little bit more. Do you feel like that could be part of the game script today?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think both of these teams are actually quite similar with the weapons that they have. On one side, you've got Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler. On the other side, you've got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon. And you've got younger quarterbacks that at any given time can stretch a play with their legs, Herbert more so. But they've got the arm strength clearly to throw down the field. There's so many electric big players in this game, and both of them kind of like to give up yards, especially on the Chargers side. They're more than willing to kind of give up and allow some of that rushing game. Look, I think they're absolutely going to take shots on both sides. So that's a big reason why I like the over here. It's a big reason why we see some guys liking a lot of player props in this game as well. Just the thing about both of these offenses too is like the targets are highly concentrated. Like we know the targets are going to Keenan Allen. We know targets are going to T. Higgins, or they're taking deep shots to Jamar Chase. We know Joe Mixon gets handed the football a lot. And those are things that we like, things that are a little more predictable. So that's why I like it. Should be plenty of yards. The only thing that's really in question here for the total is whether or not the red zone trips turn into field goals, touchdowns, or turnovers. And I think we're going to see some touchdowns.
Amen. AB.
Yeah, I can expand upon that. Exactly what M Squared was saying, taking it one step further. The reason that the passes for the Chargers have been in that 3 to 5 yard category is because Justin Herbert this year, quite frankly, he's been horrible at dealing with pressure. He's the 3rd worst statistical quarterback in the NFL this year dealing with pressure this season. And you look at the Bengals defense, they get pressure 33% of the time on quarterback dropbacks, which is 8th most in the NFL. So pay attention to that and see how much the Bengals dial up pressure early in the game. And if the Bengals get a lead, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So make sure to pay attention to exactly that line of scrimmage battle, because Cincinnati can do damage there.
Great analysis. And by the way, to back up Mikey, one final stat for you at home. The Chargers have allowed 31.3 points per game the last 7 games. That's the 2nd worst in the entire league during that span. Points today. Hopefully a bunch by the Bengals too. All right, let's move on. And Mikey, I'm coming back to you on this game. This is the 4th early game of 7 today. And for the Vikings, extremely important. -7. For the Lions, extremely important to try and get their first win. They've had extra rest. They will be healthy today. The total of 46.5. Here's where we stand as a show. Uncle Dave is on Josh Reynolds over 35.5 receiving yards. That's at -110. 10. Mikey, the Vikings here feel like this number just screams, let me play the Lions. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're so conditioned to see this Vikings team just let teams hang around, and not even let teams hang around, also play kind of above their mean and be competitive in a lot of games that they play. That's just kind of what they do. They're in games, they play to the level of the competition. So I totally get that. This one is almost identical in terms of my simulations to that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. So my simulations on it, I make the Vikings minus 7.3. The total is exactly 46.5. It's like could not be more spot on the market here. That's why I've elected to play the Vikings in teasers, because I do think that they win the game. I need them to be -1. I think they win by that field goal for sure here in this spot. We'll see what they look like without Dalvin Cook. I've talked about it at length really each week. I know Alex has talked about it a little bit. I do like the way that the offense runs when Cook is not out there, because they do not force the ball like they do when Dalvin Cook is healthy. And Alexander Mattison is more than capable. I think they're just as good, if not better, with him on the field. Again, a lot of it is schematically how they decide to play the game. But I don't think they lose a step at all in this spot. So if you force me to play it, I would still lay it with the Vikings, as I do think that they're obviously the better team and should get the win. But for me, it was a teaser leg only. Fortunately, this week, there are a number of good teaser legs. So I do think that you can still go grab this one, because you'd be teasing them at -1. But I can't get behind backing the Lions here when they don't have DeAndre Swift. Swift is critical for them and has been critical for them in these kind of games where they backdoor cover, just because of the insane usage that he was able to deliver for them. Yes, Jamal Williams is capable. He's a fine back. He's made a career out of being an RB2 and catching passes, frankly. But I don't think this is a great spot for the Lions overall.
Quickly, Alex, you had something too, right? Am I going to come to you next?
I always have something.
That's so true. But Mikey, you had a quick question. What about teasing on the other side, the Lions up to 13?
I don't love it, but you could definitely get there. I do think that the more likely scenario still is Vikings -1. It's not going to shock me at all if the Vikings win by 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I would be pretty stunned if they didn't cover -1 in this spot, personally.
Okay.
It is one that profiles interesting. Well, I'm not going to give a donkey parlay on this one, but it's one where I do think that if you kind of follow some of the traditional donkeys that I've given out in the past, I do think it is one that you could get a decent number on both sides and kind of middle in between those numbers like we like to do. But yeah. I'm not betting the Lions in this game.
Can you imagine if we just took that last sentence that Mikey said and just said it to somebody and said, this is a sports betting show? They go, some of the donkeys that I've given. I mean, they wouldn't even know what we were talking about. It's so great. Sorry, Alex, what do you got, pal?
I was just going to say I'm very bullish on Alexander Mattison today. Mike and I both discussed it a lot. The offense seems to hum a lot when he is in the backfield. Furthermore, the drop-off in talent, in my opinion, is not that steep, maybe not even significant at all between Mattison and Dalvin Cook. That's also a reoccurring trend you'll see in the NFL. The difference between the RB1 and the RB2 normally isn't that much. Sometimes the RB2 is even more talented, but then there's going to be a big drop-off between the second-string running back and the third-string running back generally. So when the second-string running back gets into a game, he's oftentimes going to get massive workloads because of that difference between the third string and the second string guys. So, yeah, I think Alexander Mattison is set to have a very large day, including a very big workload as well.
Very, very good. I like that a lot. By the way, we're at 300 likes right now. Keep pounding that like button for me. And by the way, if some of you are like, how come Coach isn't reacting to me this morning? We're on the road. We have some issues sometimes in seeing the chat. But keep that chat humming. We know we got our girl on there running things for us, and all the guys can see you as well. All right, we got to move on to our next game. Number 5 on the board at the early stages, 1 o'clock. And AB, the Giants at the Dolphins. Dolphins very quietly are on a 4-game winning streak. They're laying 6.5. This has certainly gone up all week. The total's sitting at 40. Here's where we stand. You know what? I'm going to let Alex give out his play on the show, and then AB, I'm going to come to you. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I also wanted to correct myself. The number that I gave out was incorrect. It's Myles Gaskin's actually available at 14.5 rushing attempts. I said 15.5. You can actually get this number at 14.5. So I just wanted to clarify that for sure. Definitely get the 14.5 if there are some different sports books out there that will have that number. So yeah, Myles Gaskin over 14.5 rushing attempts. He is going to be taking the lion's share of these carries in this Miami backfield. Phillip Lindsay was ruled out. Myles Gaskin has been just getting absolutely huge volume, big workloads over the last 4 to 5 weeks. We've also seen Miami, as they've been playing a lot better, they have been a much more balanced team. They've been running the ball a lot more. So yeah, no Phillip Lindsay in the backfield. Myles Gaskin's going to get all the carries versus a Giants team that is just terrible stopping the rush. I don't particularly think he's going to be effective, so this is why I'm preferring to go with his rushing attempts compared to his yards because, yeah, I definitely anticipate the volume to be there. His averaging only 3.5 yards per carry, which is absolutely dismal. But, yeah, I do think he's going to get the work simply because they don't have any other options really in the backfield. So Myles Gaskin over 14.5 rushing attempts today I think is a great bet.
Oh, I think it is too. AB, let me come to you on the total and or the number on this one.
Yeah, so I certainly like the spread more than I would like the total. Let me tell you how this game is going to work out. The New York Giants are starting Mike Glennon at quarterback. What he's going to go up against in the Miami Dolphins defense is a defense that runs man press right on the line 49% of the time. It is the most in the NFL, and they have zero problem coming after your quarterback, both from the defensive line and rushing cornerbacks in, and they are going to bring the house right out of the gate against the Giants. So what New York has to do is be able to run the football primarily right up the middle. If they can't do it, Miami will blow them out of the water in this game because they won't have any option. You look at the Giants, their pass offense this year, 33% of all of their passes this year are 0 to 5 yards, and that's with Daniel Jones in. Now they've got a backup QB, so pay attention to that one. If I took anything in this one, it would be the Dolphins spread. Anything other than that, not touch it.
I agree with you. I think they're playing really good football. As I mentioned, they won 4 in a row. And I will never, ever bet on the Giants again as long as they are constructed the way they are right now. We have crossed the bottom of the hour. For those of you who have just dropped in to the feed, this is Early Edge Live. We do shows literally all the time. Subscribe to our channel. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss a second of this content. Guys, breaking news happened just a few minutes ago. I want to get your takes on it because it's a big, big deal. College football playoffs are now set. Alabama. Wish Allie was here today. Alabama will be the number 1 seed after their incredibly impressive win over Georgia yesterday. And rare is the time that a team loses a championship game and still makes it in, but that's what we have. Michigan will be the number 2 seed. Congratulations to Mr. Harbaugh. Georgia, the 3 seed, they will play Michigan. And then Cincinnati, making history, guys, as the first non-Power 5 team to ever make it to the playoffs. Notre Dame and Ohio State, I'm assuming, will meet in a big bowl game. They are 5 and 6. Mikey, your thoughts on the committee? Did they get this right?
I think they did. I mean, I think the thing that you can't do in this spot is you can't really have Georgia and Bama running it back the next week. I don't think that's really fun. Not a lot of entertainment value there. I think that it sets up well for everyone. What we want to see here is Bama's going to be 17-point favorite over Cincy. We hope they beat them by 40, and we expand the playoffs because of this, because we can't have that game, in my opinion. So that's what I hope happens. That's what's going to happen. And the ratings are going to be massive for Georgia and Michigan in that game. And we're going to see SEC championship game version 2, and it's going to be really fun. And the SEC is still going to be the best conference in the world by a considerable margin.
AB.
Yep. So I agree with Mikey. Nothing that I would change in regards to that. With Michigan going to the playoff, it looks like we might get Ohio State in the Rose Bowl against Utah. Let me just go ahead and tell you now. Ohio State, if they go into the Rose Bowl to play Pac-12 champion Utah, and Ohio State doesn't care about that game, and you haven't watched Utah this year, they go in looking for a fight, and they go into games looking to end a fight. Utah, pay attention to that number. This Utah team is not playing with anybody. They lay the hammer. So if they get Ohio State and Ohio State doesn't care, yeah, I would be all over Utah there.
They are legit, that Utah is. Utah team is. Now, you said laying the hammer. We had really good ratings in the city of Cincinnati until this morning because our girl Alabama decided to tweet this out today. I can't wait for Cincy to play a real football team. Damn, Allie. Damn. What are you doing? Low key, I like it. But what are you doing? What are you doing? We love Cincinnati. But we've been asking her to come out of her shell. Alex, is this coming out of her shell?
Look, Allie wants all the smoke, so I'm all about it. Shots are fired. She's going after it. She's letting everybody know what it is. If you want to get some, she's back in Bama.
Hey, I'm backing off Allie. I don't want her coming after me on Twitter. My goodness. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. A little detour off normally what the show is all about, but we're here for all breaking news. Let's get right back into it. Alex, let me come to you because this is your squad, and you've got a new quarterback. Jalen Hurts is out. Minshew is in. The number's at 5.5. The Jets' win last week was a little bit smoke and mirrors because Zach Wilson threw for less than 150 yards. The total set at 44. We have no official plays as far as props or straight picks are concerned. Your thoughts on your Eagles?
Yeah, I'm excited to see Gardner Minshew. It's Gardner Minshew season in Philadelphia. I wouldn't be adverse. I don't know if all Philly fans feel this way. If he performs well, seeing what we have in him, maybe giving him another start. I don't know if that'll be the case. I do seem committed to Jalen Hurts. But yeah, I'm expecting the Eagles to roll, mainly because this Jets team is absolutely awful defensively. They are just unable to stop anyone. I do anticipate the Eagles being able to run the ball very effectively against them. Miles Sanders is active and playing. I was considering him for a prop today. However, it was iffy if Boston Scott was going to play. If Boston Scott had been inactive, that would have left Miles Sanders pretty much all the backfield work to himself. However, it was announced last minute that Boston Scott is going to be active, so we will see a two-headed attack. So yeah, I just think the Eagles kind of relying on what they have been, what's worked for them over the past 6-7 weeks is running the ball a lot. I don't expect them to have Minshew do a lot besides hand the ball off to Boston Scott and Miles Sanders. So yeah, I think the Eagles can take care of business versus just a putrid Jets team. The Eagles defense should be able to get after Zach Wilson all day, who has just struggled. So yeah, I'm expecting my Eagles to take care of business.
Damn it, they better take care of business. We have them exposed here on the show. But also, I think this game could be over by like 2:30 or 2:45 in the afternoon. It'll be like 300 yards rushing, get in and get out. And they still have designs on making it to playoffs, but they've got to win out. I think basically win out. All right, let's move on. We've got one more 1 o'clock game, then 4 4s to get to. About 20 minutes left before the game starts at 1 o'clock. So, AB, let me come to you. Colts, you're on the Colts today, -10. In Houston, take on the Texans, 1 Eastern, 45.5. So, Mikey, I'll come to you because you love the over here. But, AB, you like the Colts and also Tyrod Taylor to throw at least 1 interception today.
I'm actually not on the over on this one. Maybe the next game we're in, but I have a lot of the teasers though. So when the Colts were -8 earlier this week, I teased them significantly. A lot of teasers with the Colts down to -2. Now you have to get it at -4 if you want to do it. I do think they win by 4, but you are losing a lot of value of the teaser not getting that key number and really the second key number at 4 because you in any event in a push you would lose the teaser on most sports books. But they should roll. I don't see how they're going to stop Jonathan Taylor. I don't see how they're going to stop the weapons. I think that the Colts they're going to keep rolling. I think this game is somewhat similar to the Rams. I think the Colts want to just absolutely roll in this game and keep the foot on the pedal at all times. Their path is somewhat clear, and that's win every football game. That's really what they have to do at this point. And it starts right here. And I don't think they've done this before where they kind of get relaxed in the second half of these games. I don't think that's what they do in this division game on the road. So I do like the Colts, but for me, it was in teasers only.
Okay. But AB, you like them to cover the big number.
I do. And expanding upon what M Square was just saying. Yeah, I agree. Like this is one of those scenarios to where everything that we would be nervous about laying 10 points with the Colts, we could kind of write that off, right? Because Yeah, like their only path to the playoffs is winning the AFC South. So not only do they need to win out, but this is a division game. They have to just bring it and get this, secure a win. I don't think they have any problems doing that. But we saw last week, right? Tampa comes back, wins that game. So it just kind of all aligns that Indy has to start fast, play fast, and keep going throughout the entire game. Not to mention, I think that there's going to be a scenario where these reps will absolutely count, both for the passing game, both for the rush. And if you look at the defense for the Indianapolis Colts, they are huge on creating turnovers, not only interceptions, but fumbles as well. I think they lead the league in forced fumbles this year, 14, if I'm correct. This defense plays nasty. They will get after the Texans, and I think that you're going to see complimentary ball on both sides of the Colts, and they're just going to continue and continue and continue. So if the Colts start fast, buddy, it's going to be a bad one for Houston.
Yeah, it feels like this is going to be the same type of game script we had when the Colts laid it on the Jets. And we thought the Jets would have something for them, and they certainly did not. All right, let's move on. We got 4 late games that we have to get to. And here's where we stand on this one. This one has a lot of interest because when you look at, guys, the playoff scenario now, and both sides really you're talking about 8 to 9 teams. That's it. You got the 7 that are qualified and maybe 1 or 2 others. In the NFC, Washington is one of those others. The Raiders are one of those others in the AFC. So Raiders laying 1.5. The total sitting on 48. RJ is on Washington, and they were at 2.5. Okay? And then, AB, you're on the Raiders now at 1. Explain that to me. And then, Prop Stars, I'll come to you for your prop in this game. AB?
Yeah. So, it's really difficult to fade this Washington team. I mean, absolute respect. They're playing very, very balanced football on both sides. What I worry about with them, though, is that what happens when they go on the road, okay? What happens if they're not getting 19-play, 11-minute drives throughout an entire game? And we just saw them against Seattle. Right now, the Seattle Seahawks are playing they are the worst team in the NFL right now, and Washington couldn't put them away. Right? That game was all the way down to the final seconds, right? So I'm interested what happens if Las Vegas does put some points on the board, especially early, and force the tempo to speed up, to quicken for Washington. What do they do? So, yeah, if you're giving me a home team at only 1 point, yeah, I'm going to play the Raiders all day here.
Oh, my gosh. I am so torn right now. Oh, Mikey, talk me out of a showdown right now.
Do
talk
it, Coach. Do it, Coach.
Talk me out of it.
Do it, Coach. Do it.
Oh, no.
Do it, Coach. Hit that music, Jacob.
Hit the music. Let's go. Oh, so the official number, I guess I've got to ask you if you're going to take it, is 1.5. That's the number we're playing today. AB, are you in or are you out?
I'm all in.
Boom! Let's go. 2 showdowns for your boy in one game. I got to remember what the other one is, but I will remember it very, very soon. Me and the Maestro, Chargers and the Bengals. So I'm kind of torn today, AB, because I'm against you in one and I'm with you on another. It's the way the ball bounces. All right, we got 3 more to get to, and the clock is winding down. Another fun day here at the show. So thank you all, as always, for joining us, participating, and understanding that this should be fun. All right. Let me come to you, M Squared, because we're all over the Rams today. AB's on the Rams. The Maestro loves the Rams, whether 12.5 or 13. We think this should be ugly. Give me a scenario, Mikey, where the Jags can keep this within 13 points.
Someone muffs a punt and the ball falls in the end zone for the Jaguars. That's definitely something you're going to need to have happen. But no, in all seriousness, I do have the number around 13. And the only reason for that is just the question of how aggressive are the Rams going to be in the fourth quarter, knowing that some of them are dealing with injuries. Big number, they got to be up 3 scores essentially to have it be safe. And it's really not safe on the final drive. At 20 points. So they do have to be up pretty considerably in the second half of the game, but I would lean towards the over personally, or similar to the Bucs, I would consider playing the team total. I do think that they put up the points. The question is, what are we getting out of the Jags? They lost one of their best weapons in Dan Arnold. which tells you a lot about the state of the Jaguars when Dan Arnold is one of their best weapons. But he was one of their best offensive weapons. It's a stay away from me. I totally get it. Like, it's not going to shock me at all if they go out there and win this game 35-10. Like, it's not going to be a stunner in any way, shape, or form. So I'm staying away from it, but I expect big things out of the Rams. I'm just a little concerned with the injury stuff. I think Henderson's going to sit. It's going to be the Sonny Michel show at running back. Has me a little worried if they're really comfortable sitting him. Like, I think his injury is one that the verbiage used around it is they're going to let him test it. They're probably not going to let him play. If it were a competitive, close game that they needed to win, I think he would be out there on the field, right? Okay. And because of that, knowing that Odell Beckham is banged up, knowing that there are some injuries, that's my only question mark is, what does the second half of the game look like? Are they only up 20? If they're only up 20, they're exposed to a late backdoor cover.
Yeah.
It's just a big number for me, so it's not something that I'm on, but most likely scenario here is they win this one by 17 points.
AB, back yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. Look, and I think that it's actually the party's going to start with the Rams defense, all right, and it's going to trickle over to the offense. And what I mean by it is that Trevor Lawrence is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL when under pressure. And if there's any game that the Los Angeles Rams have the freedom to come after the quarterback and not really, fear the risk of being beaten over the top, it's going to be this one. And once they start to get to Trevor, interceptions are going to happen, fumbles are going to happen. Like, we're going to get extra offensive drives or even possibly a defensive score out of Los Angeles from what they do to Trevor Lawrence. So that's why, I agree completely with what M Squared broke it down. I think he broke it down perfectly. I think that with the Rams, not only will the offense put up points, but we're going to get some short fields or even possibly, a defensive score out of this one. I think that they will pin their ears back all day against the Jags offense.
Now, I'm glad you said that, AB, because there is a very special pick that I have saved until this minute of the show. And Alex was a part of this with me on Friday. We have a very special guest prop picker this week. His name is Chris Donahue Jr. He and his family watch the show religiously. They love the show. He's 15 years old. He's autistic. He loves this show. The family does. He actually did simultaneously with me on Friday the You've Got Your March. It's so cool. So he gave out a special pick on the show. He and his dad together, because he's only 15. But we're going to go the Rams to win by 19 to 24 points. Just a little sprinkle. Plus 450. Plus 450, the official play from Chris Donahue Jr. and his father on the show on Friday. And we're pumped to have it as part of the show today. All right, moving on. We got a couple games left to get to, and the clock is winding down. So our next game on the board, because I just pulled that down. Where are we? Oh, I love being on the road. Love being on the road. What's our next game, Jeweler? Just tell me what our next game is.
It's got to be Baltimore and Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah. It has to be Ravens and Pittsburgh. Yes, thank you. Ultimately, Jeweler, I did not need you. Thank you, Mikey. Here we go. Ravens -4. Steelers, 4:25 Eastern. This is always, as my good buddy, good old JR used to say, a slobber knocker. 44 points. We found out yesterday or the day before that Big Ben has come out and said, hey, this is going to be my last season in Pittsburgh. They are 5-5-1. Their playoff hopes are teetering. The Ravens have designs on being a number 1 seed. Here's where we stand as a show. Well, both of the guys that have – I'm staring at them, so I'm not going to talk. Mikey, you go first, and Alex, I'll come to you.
Yeah, so I was on the over here at 43.5. My simulation number is 45.4, but it's about the significant number of 44 mostly in this game. I do actually like to see the market coming to some movement on the Steelers here. It was 4.5. It's now back down to 4. Look, I think that it would be great if everyone in the world was as optimistic as Ben. Ben is saying it's my last season in Pittsburgh, which might imply he's going to try to play somewhere else. And that is very, very ambitious and optimistic to think he could play football anywhere else. But you're seeing some buying in here. It's one of the last few home games, last opportunities for him to get to play in front of that home crowd in a division game like this. I do think that's the reason for the half a point of movement in their favor in the market in the last 24 hours. I'm expecting a relatively competitive division game. I like the total the most. Getting where I got it at 43.5. I still like it at 44. Again, same loss condition. I think this is one that ends up getting there. In some situations, 24-20 what gets me there on my 43.5. 24-21 gets us there. 27-24, 27-20. Like we get there, right? And that's the kind of game that you're going to get here, in my opinion.
Fantastic. Alex, talk to me.
2 props for you guys real quickly. Marquise Hollywood Brown over 4.5 receptions. He's had at least 5 receptions in 7 of 10 games this season. He has been phenomenal. He has a 2.11 yards per route run. He's had at least 10 targets in 4 straight games. And the last 6 games, he's averaging 11 targets over that span. That is an elite target share by any standard. Steelers ranked 26th in passing DVOA. Ravens also, their inability to run the ball is also causing Baltimore and Lamar Jackson to air the ball out a lot. Hollywood is having a career year. He's been very consistent. That's something that's eluded him throughout his career. Target share definitely helps, but the Ravens also transitioning from a run-first offense has also contributed as well. Passing game runs through him in Baltimore. The other prop is Pat Freiermuth over 3.5 receptions. Freiermuth has cleared this in 6 straight games, basically since he's become a full-time player in that Pittsburgh offense. He's averaging a healthy 7.5 targets per game. Eric Ebron is also missing from the lineup, which is going to give him a little bit boost as well. The Ravens are also a great matchup. They're 17th in DVOA to the tight end position. They're allowing the 3rd most yards to the tight end position as well this season. Like everything about Freiermuth, him and Ben seem to be on the same page. Back in Pat Freiermuth over 3.5 receptions.
Hey, sometimes when you go back to the well and there just continues to be water in it, you just keep drinking. I mean,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what I was taught. You just keep drinking. That's what we're doing. All right, now we're trying to bring everything full circle. We started this show talking about the abysmal Seattle Seahawks offense. They're the last game of the day. And you say, wait a second, Broncos Chiefs coach. Oh, you've got to tune in at 7:20 Eastern tonight to get Broncos and Chiefs on the early edge, a full hour with the boys. But here we're talking 49ers laying 3 on the road at Seattle, a team that looks like they have a star in Russell Wilson who is just fading and fading and fading, which is exactly what we've done with them the last couple of weeks. But AB, you came on the air saying their offense is awful. Any reason to believe that they can cover the +3 today?
I have a hard time going with. I wouldn't bet it. Now with this, with the 49ers, anything can happen because they could play just craziness football as well. But no, I don't trust. There's no reason to trust anything with Seattle. Look, their last 31 offensive possessions, they've only scored 3 touchdowns in those. They've punted in 19 of those 31 offensive possessions, and 9 of those there were 3 and outs. There's nothing to believe with the Seahawks offense. And let me tell you, with the state of where they are right now, they just signed Adrian Peterson and shot him right to the lineup, right? There's just nothing to believe in with Seattle. Now, they always play crazy games, which is why I'm not betting them at all today, one way or the other, but there's just nothing to believe there.
Hey, Adrian Peterson, do not get a permanent residence in Seattle. I'm just saying. Now, Debo went down last week, and Alex, he is a monster. He's a beast on the prop side of things. Is there anything in this game from the 49ers perspective that we can even look at?
I do anticipate Elijah Mitchell getting a very healthy workload, but that's reflected in his rushing total. It was opened at nearly 90 yards. I think George Kittle could also have a huge game. His receiving prop is set around 53.5 yards. Seattle is, I believe, the worst team at defending opposing tight ends. He's also historically just killed them. So, if the Niners want to, I think they'll be able to have their way. I think they'll be able to run the ball effectively versus Seattle. I think they'll be able to throw the ball effectively, but they tend to be a run-first team, which is why I don't have Kittle as an official play, because I do think if the running game's working, they will go with the running game. They like to run the ball as much as any team in the NFL, and Seattle can't stop anyone. So, I do like some of the San Francisco props, but I just do see a very voluminous, heavy rushing attack from San Francisco, which kind of could limit the passing attempts and volume that I look for in receiving props.
All right, very good. Very thorough right there. I didn't know if you were just having your hand up or if you had something, Mikey, before we wrap it up.
I just want to say be careful with the 49ers. Yes, it's a great time to buy in on them. I didn't have any value on either side of the game to get there. The only thing I will note is Seattle is one of the true home field advantages in the National Football League. It is easily the top home field advantage in the National Football League, worth over a full 3 points typically. Looking back over like the last 15 seasons, this team is like negative 15 units on the road betting in those road games, and they're still positive overall betting on them because they are so dominant at home. It's just a really good spot for them when they play at home. So if there is a spot for Russell Wilson and company to bounce back, I would expect it to happen in a division game with a team that they're familiar with on their home field.
All right, so 2 words there. Be careful. This is one of those spots, late game, the obvious play. Sometimes it isn't so obvious. All right, Jeweler, throw up the recap as we very quickly tell the world what we're most looking forward to today as we get closer. Only 3 minutes before the game start right now. So we'll leave this up as we go around the board. A, B, start us off.
Yep, we're going to go Colts -10 against the Texans. We're also
I don't need to do all of that. I just need what you're most looking forward to today, please, sir.
Oh, well, what I'm most looking forward to today is the Titans not having to play today. That's what I'm most looking forward to.
I'm most looking forward to you not going through your best bets again. Alex, what do you got for us?
I was really looking forward to AB's rundown again. I'm looking forward to cashing a bunch of props, seeing a bunch of good football. It's Sunday. I'm excited. We've got a great game tonight. Definitely tune in to see the kickoff show before Coach and Mike's Chiefs play the Broncos.
Boom. Mikey, wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to points in Chargers, Bengals, and Ravens, Steelers. I need the Eagles to win by at least a point. I need the Colts to win by a field goal, and I am definitely looking forward to that Sunday night football game tonight.
Oh, man, I am too. I'm going to be having like my phone out because I'm hosting an incredible event down here, Golf for Cops. It's an organization that raises money for the families of police officers who have died in the line of duty. So it's a very important cause. Excited to be here. We have heard rumors that Jack Nicklaus will be in attendance.
I think we lost Coach there. Jack Nicklaus could be in attendance here in Florida, which would be exciting. And he had Charles Barkley on his flight. So I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead to end the show for everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back tonight for the Sunday night football game. Join us here. But, Jeweler, go ahead and wrap us up. Thank you so much.